Proud to announce today that we have reached a deal to end the shutdown.
Proud to announce? He's taking credit for something awful that he started. It's like Cameron wandering around Britain, enjoying Brexit, everybody. Can anyone lend me a pig? It's utterly ridiculous. Look at this.
The cost of the shutdown to the American economy, $11 billion.
The shutdown cost more than his wall would have. You can't take credit for something you fucked up, or Gemma Collins will get an Olympic medal for this. And I think we'd all like to see that. It was the longest government shutdown in history. Trump blamed everyone except himself, which is fascinating considering what he said when Obama was in charge.
If there is a shutdown, I think it would be a tremendously negative mark on the President of the United States. He's the one that has to get people together.
I think this lady puts it best.
He's another twat, isn't he?
Now, the big news of the week, the leader of the free world is a racist prick.
President Trump has used his Twitter account to share inflammatory videos which were posted online by the deputy leader of the far-right group Britain First.
The tweets from the deputy leader of Britain First, Jada Franson, showed what she said was Muslims pushing a teenage boy off a roof, destroying a statue of the Virgin Mary and beating up a Dutch boy on crutches. None are verified. The last one, nothing to do with Muslims.
What a fear-mongering fuckwit. He retweeted deliberately misleading videos from a hate group. All Muslims are terrorists. They're the biggest threat to America. No, they're not. And no, they're not. More Americans die choking on food than from terrorism. They're 7 times more likely to be killed by a lawnmower. I mean, Christ, more Americans die from accidents in bathtubs than from attacks by terrorists. If bathrooms kill more Americans than ISIS, why isn't he tweeting this?
Boy, you should know what you're for. Baby, do you daddy? Ah! Daddy, leave me!
It's unbelievable. Did you see how Trump's press secretary defended him?
Whether it's a real video, the threat is real, and that is what the president is talking about.
What a load of shit! It's not real, but what if it was? Fuck me, let's hope Trump never watches Jurassic Park. Just stumbling out of his office, dinosaurs everywhere. They make the water bubble. Not only that, in England, there's a talking meerkat. I saw it with my eyes. Now, not everyone defended his tweets. For once, even Theresa May stood up to him.
Well, yesterday, the Prime Minister had her own rebuke for Donald Trump.
I'm very clear that retweeting from Britain First was the wrong thing to do.
Donald Trump has now responded on Twitter telling Theresa May, "Don't focus on me, focus on the destructive radical Islamic terrorism that is taking place within the United Kingdom. We are doing just fine." However, he'd linked this message to a Mrs. Theresa May from Bognor.
America is a terrifying place at the moment. Flooding, racial tension, threats of nuclear war, and Trump is obsessed with what's in soldiers' pants.
President Trump has now signed his directive dealing with transgenders in the military.
He said, where else but on Twitter, that transgender people
Cannot serve in any capacity in the military.
Do you know why he wants to kick them out? Because they're a financial burden. Trans surgery costs so much money. So much. Does it fuck? The medical cost of having transgender troops in the US forces is estimated to be $5 million a year. To put that into context, Trump has spent over $24 million flying to Florida to play golf. Trump wants 18 holes. Some of these guys are only asking for one. His presidency is falling apart. Even his own staff were having a pop. Look what his Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, called him.
The Secretary of State called the president a moron.
And the world went, yeah, you got a point. But it actually turned out that Tillerson didn't call him a moron. He called him a fucking moron. It gets even better. So, what did Trump do? Well, Trump challenged him to an IQ test. And you're like, play to your strengths, Donald. We've all seen you on telly. You're one of the thickest men alive.
If you are saying he can't do his job because of his race, is that not the definition of racism?
No, I don't think so at all.
We see this spirit in the men and women who selflessly enlist. At some point in the future, we're going to look back and say, how did we do it without space? Let's say hacking defense. Like we had a great hacking defense at the Republican National Committee. That's why we weren't hacked. New words that we haven't heard too much of, human traffickers. This is a term that's been going on from the beginning of time. We'll either be very, very successful quickly, or we're going to be very, very successful in a different way quickly. There's a big thing going on right now, which is spying, and you can call it anything you want. We've been able to start nipping it in the bud. We've nipped it in the bud. Let's call it start nipping it in the bud.
Unbelievable. Now, 2,000 years ago, Jesus entered Jerusalem on an ass. Last week, an ass entered Jerusalem.
President Trump breaks with decades of US foreign policy and recognises Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
Mr. Trump said it would help bring peace and a bright and beautiful future to the region. Not many people, though, agreed.
Palestinian Islamist group Hamas has called for a day of rage. In response to that, Israelis are said to be mobilising tanks and aircraft. It's a rapid escalation of hostilities in an already fragile part of the world.
We wish you a very happy Hanukkah.
What a moron. The Middle East needs wisdom and poise, not Trump. He's like an orangutan on Stella. Him wading into Jerusalem makes as much sense as defusing a bomb with 2 vibrators. And what's worse, some people claim he's doing it just to distract from the fact that he has the lowest approval rate of any president in history. He's at 32%. According to a survey, American women would rather have piles than a Trump presidency. They would rather have arse scrapes than listen to his bullshit. And it's not just that. The White House was forced to deny Donald Trump had dementia after he slurred and stuttered during the Israel speech. Did you see the speech? Something was definitely going on.
God bless Israel, God bless the Palestinians, and God bless the United States.
The United what?
The United States.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
The United States.
It's a good job he wasn't in Mississippi. Now, he hasn't got dementia. He's just thick as shit. Did you know that Trump, to get his attention, his own staff include his name as often as possible so he reads memos? He won't read classified information unless his name's in it. Fuck me. Can you imagine how they tried to tell him, Donald, do not, Donald, say that, Donald. Jerusalem is the, Donald, capital of Israel. Got it. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. Donald. I like sausages. I mean, this is a man who said no politician in history has been treated worse than him. JFK? Abraham Lincoln. In 1672, the Dutch Prime Minister was killed by his own people. Can it get worse? Yeah, they ate him. Talking of harassment, Trump's been in the news. It's been the midterm election, so what did he do? He turned 5,000 Central American migrants into public enemy #1.
Migrant caravan heading from Central America to the US border right now.
More than 5,000 people are in the caravan.
That's called an invasion of our country.
The migrants say they're fleeing violence and poverty.
We will keep the criminal drug dealers, predators, and terrorists the hell out of our country.
What's he going to do? Deport himself? I don't want sexual predators in America. That's my job. He's calling it an invasion. Let's have a look at this terrifying group of invaders. I mean, that's not an invasion. That's a Fisher-Price buggy. If Trump's afraid of foreigners and their children, he must lose his shit when he sees his wife and kid. Like... Look where Trump claims these invaders have come from.
And in that caravan, you have some very bad people.
You're going to find MS-13. You're going to find Middle Eastern.
You're going to find what?
You're going to find Middle Eastern.
They've come from the Middle East? So let me get this straight. They've gone from the Middle East through Egypt, Libya, Algeria, Mauritania, Western Sahara, and then they've swam or rowed across the Atlantic and then walked across Brazil, Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Nicaragua, Honduras, Mexico, all the way to the border. Now, if some of those people have done all that whilst dragging a Fisher-Price buggy, don't turn them away. Sign them up to the Olympics. They're not invaders, they're triathletes. I mean, that is phenomenal stamina. I have a rest when I carry the shopping home. My brother gets out of breath when he takes a shit. I imagine. I haven't seen it. He's told me.
Republicans were left to pray. Their candidate, Roy Moore, lost in the face of accusations he had sexually assaulted multiple teenage girls.
He was accused of abusing a 14-year-old girl. And who was his main supporter? Who do you think?
So get out and vote for Roy Moore. Do it. Do it.
He's a good guy. Solid. Pedo. Let's make America grope again. It's unbelievable. Trump protected an alleged child molester to promote his own interests. Who do you think he is, the BBC? Right? I can do that joke. I can do that joke now. It's absolutely fine.
President Trump has declared a state of emergency and risked a major constitutional crisis to secure the funds he needs to build a wall along the border with Mexico.
He said a barrier was needed to stop an invasion of drugs, gangs, human traffickers and undocumented migrants.
It's bullshit. He's using migrants as an excuse to build his wall, despite the fact that in the last 20 years, illegal border crossings have dropped by more than 80%. How could it be an emergency if Trump himself said this?
I could do the wall over a longer period of time. I didn't need to do this, but I'd rather do it much faster.
If you don't need to do something, then it's not a fucking emergency. Just help! Help! I need a personalised number plate. My dog's lost his sunglasses. I can't find my scented candle. How am I to sleep without lavender in the air? I don't know what that was at the end. So, as it's such an emergency, did Trump work around the clock with a special task force? Nope. Trump declared a national emergency, then played golf all weekend. This is a crisis. Fetch my putter. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It is the duty of anyone who works at Trump's golf course to take a shit in every hole. So, we're all gonna die.
North Korea has said it regards itself at war with America. War.
Fire and fury. War. War.
Serious stuff.
War.
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 War. War.
War.
It is only Monday.
So how did this happen? Well, it all started at the UN last week. Everyone was waiting to hear what Donald Trump would say to the world.
The message is really a message of peace. It's a message of coming together.
Peace, togetherness. So what did he say?
President Trump issued an astonishing threat to North Korea tonight, warning the United States may have no choice but to totally destroy it.
Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime.
Fuck you, Rocket Man! It's the UN. It's not a comedy roast. Hey, Rocket Man, it won't be the first explosion your mum's seen. Look! No! No! Look! Look at the reaction of his Chief of Staff, John Kelly, during the speech. Look at that! That is a man with a tough job. Can you imagine the chat they had before? OK, you stick to the script. Peace and love. Yeah, sure, yeah. Peace, love, yeah. As soon as he gets out there, hey, Kim! I got small hands. Oh, yeah, I've got small hands. We'll see how small they are when they're in your head. I'm doing it, John. I'm doing it. You'll be like, me so sorry, you dog-eating son of a bitch. I'm on it, John. The world needs leadership. We're on the brink of a nuclear war. We need wisdom. Not a man-child who can barely understand what nuclear weapons are.
This thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
The Las Vegas atrocity continues to dominate the news.
Well, not surprisingly, the massacre in Las Vegas has reignited the gun control debate in America.
The attack has prompted howls of outrage from many.
These mass shootings in the United States keep on happening, with no prospect whatsoever of this one being the last.
It's a very, very sad day for me, personally.
It's not about you, you piece of shit! Not only is he self-obsessed, he continued to dodge the issue the world is talking about.
He refused to even address the question of gun laws.
Gun violence problem.
But we're not going to talk about that today.
Not gonna talk about it? It was the worst mass shooting in American history, and he's like, this is hardly the time. Let's talk sausages. When an incident happens, you discuss the incident. Like, if my girlfriend caught me with my dick in a jam jar, I wouldn't be able to go, this is hardly the time. How dare you cheapen this moment